Macca's Guides.
Hey everyone, Macca here. Welcome back to our continuation of South of Midnight, 100% walkthrough. Let's get started with Chapter 6, which I believe has 215 floofs. I think it has 10 readables, as it is quite a story-heavy chapter. It's on the shorter end, but we'll get started as soon as we can here. Once we do gain control of our character, I do believe we have the ability to unlock a bunch of new upgrades in our upgrade tree, and one of those upgrades also leads to a combat-related achievement. So let's just go ahead and wait for this little introduction to conclude.
Something bad happened in that house.
You think her house is full of booby traps?
Well, I do hear that in her quest to find Molly, she might have taken some things that weren't entirely hers.
Ooh, she really got you shook.
Darling, listening to my fear is how I got this old.
I hope Bunny isn't there.
All right, so let's go ahead and press up on the D-pad. We have quite a bit of currency here. It's up to you how you decide to use this currency. I'm going to recommend upgrading the general tree first. So we're going to grab the cleansing rend, hold Y to unleash strands damaging enemies in a wide area. There is an achievement for using the cleansing rend, so we'll grab that. I also like the bob and weave. It lets you dodge twice, which makes an upcoming boss battle quite a bit easier. And then Stigma Conversion is extremely helpful. It allows you to rebuild your abilities more quickly. And then you have 110 left over. Close the Loop is not particularly useful in my opinion, but we're just going to grab it as we're going to need it eventually anyways. So we're just working our way down that general tree for now. And we're going to now run forward. And for the first minute or two here, there's no collectible to worry about. Let's just follow that main story path that I've been talking about for far too long. You will be able to use a little bit of a grappling point here to get across the gap. Jump down onto the islands. On this next island, we're going to have to use the push strand to clear the branches. This jump, I would just recommend getting a little bit of a running start before you get that double jump, as it can be a little bit awkward if you're not sprinting. And then just jump onto these next little platforms. You'll notice these two weavable platforms we're going to be using to get across the gap, and I believe there is a collectible as soon as we cross. So let's go ahead and cross. Instead of going forward into the fight directly in front of us, which is where we're supposed to go, let's go ahead and turn to the right. Keep turning to the right, and if you keep turning to the right, you'll notice a small little pathway that leads to a breakable little tunnel where we can cast croutons. So press RB and get crouton in here. This one actually has a couple of obstacles, so we'll make sure we watch out for those. Oh, no, it's not this one. I misremembered, but doesn't matter. Either way, get to the end of the tunnel and interact with the rocks to get your first 5 floofs for the chapter. And directly across, if you were to just cross that main path to the other side, you'll notice another side path. And then here you can interact with the tree, go forward, and get a couple more floofs. This chapter has a lot of things you can interact with that don't count as collectibles. For example, turning left as you leave, there's a small dock, and you can just learn a couple of like story elements. They're not particularly useful to the story, but there are some elements here. So we are going to be working for the closing rend achievement. I don't know if I'll find it here quick. As it may be, I believe it's a secret achievement. No, there it is. Defeat multiple Haints with the cleansing rend. So I believe this basically means you need to get a double kill. And the cleansing rend, you're going to hold Y, and it's going to cause an explosion, killing enemies around you. So we're going to be trying to kill 2 enemies at once using that attack in order to make progress. I believe you have to get like 5 double kills. One thing I like to do is damage one enemy a bunch, and then basically cleanse or weave one of the enemies. And then you can very easily use your Y attack to get that double kill. The thing is, it does take quite a bit of time for that cleansing rend Y attack to come back. So it's basically something we won't really be able to do more than maybe once or maybe twice during a combat encounter. So I'd recommend trying to get it done on like the first 2 enemies that spawn. And then if you do get it back or you want to wait and boost it, you can always do that. But I think this fight in particular is very short. So once that fight is over, if you need the health, go ahead and grab the health. And you can now cleanse the stigma And once the battle is done, you want to resist the urge to go forward. And instead, you know the drill, look kind of behind you over your left shoulder. And here you'll be able to notice that there is a dock that leads to the water with a very well hidden tin flip, which we want to grab. So make sure you don't miss that tin flip. Tin flips are very annoying to have to come back and look for on a second playthrough. And now you can very briefly join the guided path, but do not go towards the book in front of us. Instead, look to the right and you'll notice a small side path. There's a lot of side paths. Some of them are more obvious than others, but a lot of well-hidden floofs in general. Here you want to jump and then dash through the hole. To your left, you'll notice a floof between the trees. This one is worth 5, but we do want to continue along this side path. We'll get to some exploding mushrooms. You'll want to break those. Then continue forward, watching out for the pricklies. At the end of this path, there is a ledge we can jump up to, climb the ledge, and then this ledge leads to, I believe, a big 20-point floof, which is obviously nice to get 20 all at once. And you can always start applying those to upgrades as soon as you feel comfortable. So let's go ahead and grab that 20-pointer as well. And only now should you rejoin the main path and interact with that book that is in the middle of that path so that we can get a small story element here around the corner.
Another one of Mama's things. What else did I get wrong about you? Is that? No way.
Trey always thought he'd give his wife Bunny's ring. But she refused. Swore I was after the flood money. I'd never tell him, but I didn't want that gaudy ring anyways. We chose something more to my liking together.
She doesn't talk about Dad much. Nice to know they didn't care what Bunny thought.
All right, let's go ahead and continue here. Turn up the to the left, watching out for some of these brambles. There's also some mushrooms. These ones kind of get me every time. I got pretty lucky there. But there are also some rocks you can pull to throw and break up the mushrooms. But just get over safely. Weave the boat directly in front of you to cross the gap. After you cross this gap, there is your first of 10 readables directly in front of you. There are some very cruel readables coming up in this chapter you do not want to miss. So make sure you grab your first one here. And then around the corner, you'll see a weavable wall run. This one's the trickiest floof of the game. Do not wall run. Instead, drop straight down from this ledge. And here you can find a little bit of a secret cave. In that secret cave, you can find 20 floofs. And if you want to do a quick check, we are at 70 out of 215. Only have one readable, and we do not have our health filament upgrade yet. But we can run back to the wall run, use the wall run, and get across the gap here. Once you get across the gap, you want to turn to the left and go down this side path, clearing the branches and using the grapple points to get across to this island in the distance. Dropping down on that island gets you right to a floof, and as soon as you get that floof, go ahead and just grapple your way back. You can kind of see now why I'm doing a walkthrough format for this game. There's so many collectibles, and they come up so often that making a collectibles guide, I don't know if that'd be necessarily too useful. You'll come around this corner, and you'll notice that there's a lot of stigma, and the only way to clear this stigma is to go through the barn on the left-hand side. So go ahead and go through the barn. As you go through the barn and exit out the other side, look to the right-hand side. Up on the ledge, you can find a tin flip. Grab that tin flip. You might miss it because after we go into the small tunnel using crouton, we might not see it. So go into that tunnel using crouton. Here are the kind of obstacles I mentioned before. You want to try to not to get hit by the red ants or the expanding brambles. If you do, I don't actually think you fail unless you get knocked off. But you can always just retry it until you're ready, unraveling the stigma at the end of that tunnel for an automatic 5 floofs that you can't miss. Now, once that stigma clears, we're going to head back through the farmhouse and then hook around to the left instead of going up that main path. And if you get kind of behind the farmhouse here, you'll notice a weavable cart. You want to weave that cart and then push it, I think, twice. Nope, you only need one push. Grab up onto the cart to get onto the roof of the farmhouse. Destroy the hole in the roof of the farmhouse, dropping down. In here, you can find your second of 10 readables. This is one of the easier ones. And health filament upgrade. You'll want to make sure you grab your health filament upgrade. This is the one and only for this chapter. And once you have that done, go ahead and continue forward now. You'll have to do a quick little double jump here over these sharps. I failed a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. Grapple over the next pile as you drop down. You can use rocks to clear out the exploding mushrooms, or you can just be kind of careful with your navigation and destroy them yourself. But get through these as well. You can always use your dash and glide to get through a little bit more easily. Breaking the trees on your way over this next one here.
There's Bunny's cottage.
And as soon as you see this house in front of you, do not enter the fence. There's a lot of things going on in there and a cutscene that can kind of push you too far forward. Let's grab all the collectibles nearby. Directly on the path to the right, you can jump over the ledge. Looking to your left at the top of the hill, you may notice a shining hole. This is for Crouton. For this one, we're going to hold RB to throw Crouton into the hole, and then use RB to switch to him. After we switch to him, just walk forward, watching out for some of the obstacles here. And once we get to our little rock formation, interact with it for a couple of floofs. Kind of across the path directly nearby, you can also find some floofs sitting beside a tree. So let's go ahead and grab those. And then instead of going, you can go towards the house a little bit, but instead of going up the hill towards the fence of the house, go to the left of the house, and there's another side path here. So we're going to go down this side path. At the end of this side path, there is an optional fight, but there's also a readable collectible we're going to grab. I just don't know if we're going to grab that collectible before or after the fight. Let's find out. So approach the fight directly in front of us. There will be a box to the left here somewhere, but I guess this box will only appear after the fight. So let's go ahead and start that fight, working towards anything we feel like working towards.
Now to keep going.
Alright, so go ahead and unravel the stigma after this very optional fight. That should give us 15 floofs for the fight itself. And then if you turn back up the hill and look kind of where we came from, going back towards the house, look to the right-hand side. And the stigma cleared up this box near the rocks. And on this box is readable number 3. This is one I actually missed on my first little playthrough of this chapter. So this one can be a little bit tricky because the box, I think, actually only spawns after that fight. We're now actually ready to enter into the fenced area of the house. We're going to do things in a somewhat specific order as to not get a cutscene to interrupt our collectible hunting. So enter into the fence of the house and immediately turn to your left after our camera gets locked up here to look at the house. Immediately turn to your left and follow the fence line towards a floof. So make sure you grab this floof. It's not particularly well hidden, but you can get a little bit sidetracked and miss it. Keep following the fence line. Keeping the fence on your left. And once the fence goes down the stairs, go ahead and go down the stairs and into a fight. Inside of these combat sections, there are basically 3 combat sections in the cottage area, and we're going to have to complete all of them. I'm doing them technically out of order from what the game kind of recommends, but it is what it is. I'm going to attempt to do this double kill with the cleansing rend. Let's see if we can get it this time. Failed it on the last fight, but hopefully not too bad. That should have counted as a double kill for sure. You want to definitely use some of your weave and some of your other abilities to just keep enemies nice and close. If there are too many enemies, you can always use Crouton to convert one of the enemies, and then that just makes them help you out, and it makes them, obviously, as they're helping you out, they're not attacking you, so it just makes it a little bit easier. We're going to get through this fight as quickly as possible, though, otherwise. Grab the health if you need it and cleanse the stigma. I just realized I think the fights are so easy because I'm probably still on the easy difficulty from the last chapter. I did switch it one time, but then I think on this little playthrough we're doing here together, I probably haven't switched it, which is we're going to probably just keep it on the lower difficulty for a chapter or two. There's a couple of boss fights coming up anyways, so if we keep it on the lower difficulty, it's not a particularly huge deal. Enjoy the cutscene.
Trey lost his sister and his mama that day.
Oh, no. Did Mama know about this?
So once you clear the stigma, let me just see. There might be a collectible in here. There is. So after the stigma is cleared, you can find this little item here next to the docks. This is not a collectible we technically need, but it is a collectible that adds to the story. So we'll use that. But around the corner from the rocks to the left of that, there's like a little boat storage area. And next to the boat storage, there's a tin flip. So you don't want to miss that. You can't get that tin flip unless you do this battle anyways. As I was saying before we started the battle, there are 3 fights we need to do in the house area. And after we do all 3, it opens up the house for us. So we're just going to kind of go clockwise following the fence. So as we exit, turn left. And as you hook around this fence, you should notice another floof sitting underneath this large willow tree. From that willow tree, we should be able to now go to our next combat section, which is kind of right here in the middle. Our guiding strand takes us in a different order, but let's just go ahead and grab this one out of the way. So I do have to be on that lower difficulty. These fights are exceptionally easy, and possessed enemies do a heck of a lot of damage. Clear out the stigma and then grab your little second cinematic inside of the housed fenced-in area.
Bunny didn't care for him. When his sister got her dress dirty, he was punished for letting it happen. He didn't complain life was unfair. That's just how things was.
Poor Dad. Kids make mistakes sometimes.
That combat section also gives us 5 additional floofs. If you want to do a quick check, you should be at 140 out of 215. We do have our health filament upgrade, but only 3 out of 10 readables. A lot of readables coming up in pretty much the same room. So we're going to kind of continue clockwise around the property, and we're going to end up kind of at the back of the house. At the back of the house, near the exit, you may notice that there is a small shed. Inside of that shed, there is a group of floofs. So go to the back of the shed, break open the small opening with your push, use crouton to get inside, and don't miss this before you leave the area. Additionally, not far from this shed, if we follow clockwise, you'll find this small section in the garden with a bunch of boxes and crates. I don't know if this is like a beekeeper's area, but on the beekeeper's area, well, that's what we'll call it, is collectible 4 out of 10 for readables. And once we have all of that done, we can now complete the final combat section here. And our objective is to clear the stigma around the cottage. We're at 2 out of 3. So once we clear this final stigma here, it will open up the cottage for us. We're going to try to get those cleansing rend double kills if we can. And it seems that we have already got them, took them down a peg, defeat multiple Haints using the cleansing rend. Don't know if you have to get double kills or not, but getting double kills definitely speeds up the process if they aren't required. So now we'll just be getting through combat sections as quickly as possible. We do still have that attack, which can be useful, but honestly, I find that the jump and smash attack is probably the most useful attack in the game. And that's simply for the fact that when you smash and pound, it interrupts attacks, which just means you don't get hit as often. If you're not getting hit, then you're not taking damage and you're able to do damage. So that's my tip. Obviously, use your abilities as much as possible. Use your dodges when you can. And hopefully the fights aren't too bad for you.
Parents always have a favorite, even if they don't admit it. Bunny's favorite was her daughter Cherie, whom she'd hoped to groom into a force surpassing her own one day.
She wasn't watching her either.
I think in theory, the reason the game guides you to do them counterclockwise is because it makes more sense in the story, the way the stories are told. We did them opposite, but basically something not so great happened to one of the children because of a lack of attention, and that includes some water. I'll let you kind of put the pieces together based on what you saw. But after all 3 of the combat sections, we do have a runaway section, which is why I kind of mentioned we want to make sure we have all the collectibles before we enter that final combat sequence. And once we are running here, we just want to get to the end safely. You know the drill: double jump, glide, grapple, and wall run when you need to. We do still have access to the outside areas of the cottage, but the cottage has changed quite a bit, so just to be safe, you wanted to make sure you got everything beforehand. After this, we'll have access to the cottage. Inside of the cottage, there's like 6 collectibles but I highly recommend you grab them in a specific order I'm going to show you. If you don't do it in that order, you might actually have to redo the whole chapter. So just go ahead and finish this section. I'll rejoin you soon.
So loud! Bunny buried every kid she brought into this.
So we've reached the bottle tree. We now have to investigate the cottage. Again, inside of that cottage, there's a lot of collectibles. I would highly recommend you follow me exactly. If you don't, you might trigger a cutscene, and after that cutscene, the cottage is locked, and you can't grab the collectibles anymore. So let's go ahead and go through the front door directly in front of us. I believe in the first room to our right, on the table, you can find a readable document. This will be number 5 out of 10. There's a bunch of paintings and pictures and fireplaces you can interact with. I'm going to be skipping that on purpose as to not trigger that cutscene I mentioned. Staying downstairs, go to the end of the hall, keeping an eye out on your left for a door, and go past the first door towards the second and third door, and at the end of the hall, you may notice a small hole in the door where you can use Crouton to get through that hole, interacting with a rock pile for a couple more floofs. Once we have the 1 note downstairs and the 1 pile of floofs downstairs, we can go upstairs, following the waypoint if we so desire. Again, I'm purposely skipping interacting with paintings and stuff like that, and instead I'm going directly into Bunny's room.
Definitely Bunny's
Now,
room.
once I'm in Bunny's room, there are kind of only 3 things I really want to get first. And that is the note on the left side of the bed. This is note number 6 out of 10.
Restorative?
The note on the right side of the bed. This is note 7 out of 10. And once I have both of those notes and Hazel stops talking to herself, you want to interact with the bunny statue near the wall here. This will open up the bookcase, revealing a secret room. Do not interact with anything in the secret room unless it is the thing I show you, which is the 8th and final collectible for the house. So walk into the secret room all the way to the end to the sewing machine and grab collectible 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, what I did was I interacted with all the little stuff in this room, and once you do that, it forces you into a cutscene that kicks you out of the house. So this collectible right here, very, very missable. Once you have 8 out of 10 of the readables and the floof from downstairs, you can start interacting with the items in this room. And that's going to include this kind of red yarn. It's going to include a missing children's poster. It's going to include some information about your dad. After you kind of interact with like as many things as possible, if you walk around a little bit, you will be visited by someone, and there will be an automatic cutscene. I will let that cutscene play out, and after that cutscene, you will get a change of clothes, which is pretty cool. But you'll also be forced to go outside, and then the house will be locked. So now you're ready to interact with all the things you can interact with until a cutscene forces itself upon you.
Hey, that's my distaff. Patterns too. Where'd she get all this?
You just can't get enough of my hospitality.
I'm sorry. I need to find Hug and Molly.
Do you? What would you want with Hug and Molly?
She took my mama. Her red yarn was all over our house.
You've been keeping secrets. Why didn't you ask before?
I did. And you didn't help.
You can see strands. And now you're looking for a creature. You're a weaver, aren't you? Strange. Your mother never mentioned it. Or maybe not so strange. I guess we know each other's little secret now.
Are you a weaver too?
Oh dear. Why don't we have some tea? Let me get you some fresh clothes. My pig factory is no place for a girl like you to be cavorting.
At least it's clean.
Now, what do you know about hugging Molly?
I know she takes children and leaves red yarn. And I've heard that you know a lot about her.
Yes. She stole your father once when he was young.
Really? How'd you find him?
Oh, Molly meant for me to find him. Trey was just bait, you see. It was me she wanted. Molly can't abide weavers because we mend the chaos her kind likes to create.
You don't think
That Molly took your mother to lure you? Yeah. I never found where Molly really lives, but I suspect Laurent Baptiste knows.
Laurent from the juke joint?
Friend of yours?
Friend of Mama's.
Curious. Laurent won't talk to me. I seem to have an unfortunate reputation among his crowd.
I could try.
The garden gate will take you to his place. Do let me know how it goes with Molly. I'd be most indebted if you find her.
Oh, I'll find her.
All right, so we are done with the cottage. We have a cool new outfit that I quite prefer. It fits the kind of magic vibe. Let's go ahead and exit the cottage following our guiding strand. Only a few more collectibles to go. A couple more cutscenes before we get to the end, but hopefully we get there quick. Here you'll need to do a little bit of a kind of jump boost past some brambles. Coming around the corner, there are two things you want to grab. I would highly recommend doing this one first, which is the tree on your right-hand side. Readable number 9 out of 10. I also missed this one on my first playthrough. So you'll want to grab the readable. And then pretty obviously across from the readable is a side path. You can grapple to this side path. And then you can end up going forward directly in front of you. Watching out for some of the brambles, and at the end you can double jump and climb your way up to a large 20-point floof. Now from this floof there is a grapple point that's a little bit hard to see, but this just kind of brings you back to a wall that you can climb that rejoins you back to that main path where we grab the collectible from the tree. So we can drop back down and continue along forward past the squeeze in the rock. There's a short little cutscene coming up, and then just kind of getting through the end of the level. 3 more collectibles at least to grab, but we'll get there when we get there.
So I said, Bunny Flood will fillet you as soon as look at you. Oh, Hazel. Well, nice duds. You been promoted at the Piggly Wiggly?
Oh, hey, Mr. None of the Floods, come to the cottage.
Oh, you don't mean. You run into Bunny Flood and live to tell?
Mm-hmm, and she's helping me find Huggin' Molly.
Oh, out of the goodness of her heart, I'm sure. So what, y'all in cahoots now?
First off, cahoots. Second off, there's nobody I'd rather be less cahooting with.
She always did want to get her hands on a weaver.
I think I can handle my own grandma.
So now you're a flood. No, I wouldn't have helped if I'd realized.
If I'm a Flood, it's in name only. And if my last name makes Bunny believe that I'm on her side, then I'ma use it.
Well, you sure can scheme like a real flood. But you sure it ain't Bunny using you?
I can take care of myself without your help. I do need to get to the juke joint. Could you maybe?
Oh, you don't need my help. No, you a fancy flood weaver now. I wouldn't want to get your new dress all slimy.
I didn't mean...
No, you take the path. There's a tree up yonder you should see. Bunny visits every year on the same day. Might tell you a little something about who you're in cahoots with.
Hey! Cahoots. He's worrying about the wrong thing.
All right, so let's kind of wrap up the chapter here, walking forward, watching out for the exploding mushrooms, jumping over the brambles into this next area. The music's going to get turned, as it always does, at the very end of a chapter. And there is a grapple point directly in front of us, which I know is very tempting, but there's a side path to the left of that where we can end up kind of weaving a small bridge. And once we weave that bridge, we can double jump and glide across. And we will have to do this because there's basically 3 things we need to do. The first one is drop into this fight, which is very optional, but very much necessary for all of the floofs. So that's why we're going to do it real quick as soon as we can. And after that fight, I'll rejoin you in commentary. This one's not too long. Clear the stigma after the fight, and there will be a cave that opens up kind of directly in front of you right next to that stigma. It'll lead into a kind of upward left bend through the rocks. This is a little bit tricky, but there is a collectible to your right on the box on the first ledge you climb up. Your tendency is to want to like run through here, which is why you'll miss it, but that's going to be our 10th out of 10 readables. So we'll grab that, and then you can continue up this rock path to the very top. And then at the very top here, you can weave a branch or a rock thing that sticks out of the side of the cliff. That's going to lead you into a wall run, and you can wall run to a 20-pointer. You'll grab that, and then only now should you go back down from where we came, and then use the grapple points to get across to our objective. Use the wall run here. After the wall run, I believe, is our final collectible. So drop down, get on the ledge directly in front of you, and then here to the right, you'll have a tin flip. So go ahead and flip that tin. Let's do a quick check. 215 out of 215, 1 out of 1 health filaments, 38 out of 103 readables, which means that we should now be able to hopefully progress to the end of the mission quite quickly. At the end of the mission, there's quite a few things we're going to learn about Bunny, who is our grandma and who we're dealing with quite a bit in this chapter, and about what happened to one of your father's siblings, if I'm following the story correctly. Visually, a very beautiful ending to the chapter. In terms of the story, we learned some stuff that is maybe less desirable. There's a little bend here, which gives you a nice overlook, but we are going to clear the Tangle instead, using our pattern from the cottage. And once we clear that, we can walk forward towards the memory. And I believe there is a cutscene here.
Baby Cherie. Bunny's dream of crafting her daughter into her own likeness, a power spun of unnatural means, was shattered. But she never lost hope she'd bring Cherie back to life someday. She stole the Benji tree's heart for its magic, to keep her daughter trapped here instead of going where it is baby souls go. I don't think she ever considered what Cherie would have wanted.
Did Bunny steal magic from Benji's tree? She must have been desperate. Whoa. house up here in secret. Sorry I woke you up, baby Cherie. You hush now. Going back to sleep, okay?
That cutscene wraps up the chapter, which allows us to go to the next one. Thanks for watching. You know the drill. Drop a like, share the video with a friend. Special thanks to everyone on Patreon for supporting the show. Peace.